Hello everyone. I'm super excited today and you will understand why I'm very super excited as we progress through this video. Life-changing lessons I learned from Naval Ravikant. And I sincerely wish that Naval could have been my friend, my mentor, but whatsoever, I learned from him by sitting very far from him in a different country, reading his books, reading his tweets, listening to his podcast, watching his video, and he's super amazing guy. So let's start with who is Naval. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of him, but he's an angel investor. He's a co-founder of Angel List. He's an entrepreneur. He has been into the investment with Uber, Twitter, and so many such interesting startup from an early era of those company. His website is naval.com. You can follow him on a Twitter at Naval, and his book is Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which is actually not written by him, but a guy called Eric who compiled all the lessons and interviewed him. And here is something very interesting about Naval is that this is a guy who made it from like a very challenging background on his family, made it as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as an angel investor, and as he progressed in his journey in his life, he realized some important wisdom, and he is gladly openly sharing in the podcast, videos, via books, via his tweet. And even if you just follow his Twitter account, you will be amazed to see the clarity of his mind. So one thing which I like about and which I admire about Naval is about his clarity when it comes to wealth, clarity when it comes to understanding what money is actually, clarity when it comes to happiness in life. So we read so many self-help books, right? But this is something you can really relate to it. And as we progress through the lessons which I learned from Naval, which I'm really excited to share with you, you will understand why I'm a big fan of Naval. Okay, so many of these lessons I have compiled from book, his videos, podcasts, and his Twitter account. So stick with me, you will really enjoy. And I improved my life so much because of him, and I can guarantee you that you can also improve your life, your business, your understanding of your life, understanding of money, happiness, and so many things. So let's start with lesson number 1. Happiness is a state of mind where nothing is missing. So if you really expand into that, and what I'll do is as we go through each of his lessons, which I compile around 20 his lessons, so I am going to put my own experience into each of these lessons so that you can relate with me that this is not just theoretical. I also realize those things in my life, in my business, and wherever I went. Okay, so happiness is a state of mind where nothing is missing. Now, we read so many books on happiness. Market and library, Amazon is full of happiness, right? But understand this simple thought process that happiness is a state of mind where nothing is missing. So when I was progressing on my life from lower middle class to guy who was doing a job, to guy who started business, the guy who was doing saving, to guy who started trading in the stock market, investing, as I accumulated money, what I realized is that we all run after happiness. We try to figure out what is happiness is. But actually when you reach to the certain level in your life, you try to understand that happiness is not about adding new things again and again in your life. Happiness is all about sometimes you have to remove the things from your life. And that's where I can relate with this thought very amazingly that happiness is a state of mind where nothing is missing. And just focus on the statement. It's a state of mind. It's not a state of your situation or any materialistic thing. But I personally realize that yes, money is important. Money can change a lot of things in our life. I'm not in denial, and I am the one who is a super fan of money, that without money you cannot solve many of your life's problem. But as you progress, if you try to relate money with your happiness, many of the time it will not work. And at certain point of time you have to realize that happiness is not just about owning things or keep on adding things. Happiness is an ability where you have a state of mind where nothing is actually missing. So, I personally realized this as I progress in my life. I did not have any mentor, so I started reading many books. I come across his tweet and videos, and I could really relate to this statement. So it's amazing clarity. Lesson number 2. Academic knowledge does not have much value compared to specific knowledge we require in. So wow, again, once amazing. And let me give an example of my life. I am currently a trader and investor in stock market. Now I gathered this knowledge by myself, by watching YouTube videos, by reading stock market related books, and by doing real trading, all investment. Okay. Now the difference is that I am now capable in this specific knowledge based on my abilities. I did not get any degree related to stock market or trading or investment from anyone, right? So it is my knowledge, it is my emotions, it is my capability. So my 10% capability is equal to 100 or 200% of someone's academic capability. So I realized this lately in my life that when I was doing a job, it was based on some sort of specific skills, some degrees, some acquired knowledge via traditional channels, and it has on its own always limitations. When you have that kind of limitation, because companies continue to hire new talent, you are easily replaceable. If they are teaching you something, they can teach it to anyone else also. So you never have any unique chance and you are always replaceable. But when I gathered the knowledge of stock market, trading, investment, I understood that this knowledge is very specific because it relates to with your emotional abilities, discipline, wisdom, and so on. And nobody can take that knowledge. And I can survive my entire life based on that knowledge. So how amazing it is that if you compare academic knowledge, yes, it can get you somewhere. But if you acquire a specific skill, a talent, a discipline, or ability, then you can survive your entire life. Maybe you can even build your wealth on that specific knowledge. So there you go. Another amazing lesson for Naval. Lesson number 3. It is not rich versus poor. It is leverage versus unleverage. So I come from a very lower middle class family, and let me tell you very honestly, my family, my relatives, my friends, they have a very evil idea about rich. Always, always. And I think that's the same story with many lower middle class people or people who are in poverty class, that they envy rich and being rich is evil and so many things. But as I progress in my life, as I spends time with those who are rich or those who are wealthy, those who have figured out certain businesses, what I understood is that being rich or being poor is actually about having leverage or not leverage. So let me relate this with my own example. When I was doing a job, I had to put 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. Sometimes I have to put my hours during the weekends, overtime, and so many things. So they were actually not paying for me for my skill, but for my time. So I did not have a time for myself at all. I had lack of sleep. I could not spend time for my hobbies. I could not spend time for my health, mental health, my family, or any other passion I want to pursue. So I was having money, limited money from the job, but I was totally unleveraged. So what I understood is time was very important for me. And again, we are going to repeat this in one of his lessons again. But then I understood that many of the rich or wealthy people use money as a leverage. That they try to automate the tasks which are based on redundant tasks, something which doesn't require too much talent or unique judgment. So they use money for this kind of task, and then they have a free time to do whatsoever they want to do. So being rich and being wealthy is all about now leverage and not having leverage. So if you have money, you can use the power of leverage so that you can have more freedom in your life. Maybe you can diversify into other businesses. Maybe you can focus on your health. Maybe you can focus on your mental health. Maybe you pursue your hobbies, whatsoever. But being rich and being poor has a different definition, and it's all about having leverage and having not leverage. So there you go, one more amazing lesson. Lesson number 4. Life is a single player game. I'm thinking that I'm going to put a separate video on this specific topic. Life is a single player game. Now it's very interesting and unique thought that I never encountered from anyone, any author so far, which I know. So what is the meaning of this particular statement or a lesson? That we born alone, we die alone. Yes, we have our parents. Yes, we get married. We have our life partners. We may have our children. We may have our friends, colleagues. It looks like that we have so many people around us. But in reality, we are alone. It's a single player game. That means whatsoever the success, whatsoever the failure, you are the owner. Let me give you an example how I understood this particular thing is, for example, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are doing a job, right? So let's say if you become successful, then the all credit will be distributed to your friends, your family, your life partner, and everyone. But if you fail, then how many people will be with you? How many people are going to take the burden of your failure? So if you look at from the viewpoint of this lesson, when it comes to happiness, we cannot depend our happiness on our life partner. There is something amazing I come across from him also, is that when two happy people meet, they create a happy marriage. We cannot say that, I am a miserable person, I want to marry a happy person so that we can have a happy marriage. No. When two individual happy people marry to each other, they create a happy marriage. So your happiness, your health, your mental health, your money, your passion, your job, your business, your decisions are all based on you and not on someone else. So life is actually a single player game. And what I learned from this particular lesson is extreme ownership of yourself, accountability. Right? We may have setbacks, we may have failures, we have so many good or bad things which happen in our life. But if we understand that no, life is really a single player game, so it helps us to become a complete brutal accountable for our life, that you cannot run out of it. So this is the biggest learning of my life. And sometime I felt as I progressed, right, I felt that some of the friends are leaving behind. I'm going through this thing now, my goals are changing, now my purpose is changing, I had different requirements, now I have different priorities. I was not married, now I am married. But as I understood that life is actually a single player game, I cannot shift my consequences of my actions to someone else, be it my friend, be it my business partner, be it my life partner. I have to own those things. So it's amazing. It's a brutal lesson, and I'm going to have a different video on this very soon. And I'm going to include so many practical examples of how I understood it and how I actually implemented in my life. Okay. Lesson number 5. Be wealthy to be free. Now, as I was employed in different companies as an employee, and I was craving for the business, I was craving to quit the job, I was not able to do so. One time I realized, after reading books or after some time I would meet the people who are doing really well in the business, is that they never cared for money too much. Now it looks contradictory, right? It looks contradictory. But yes, that's the thing. Many of these wealthy people actually focused on the freedom of time, most importantly, freedom of what they want to do in the morning to the night. Now I am not talking about being lazy, that okay, you know what, I want to sleep more, you know what, I don't want to do anything. It's okay to relax, it's okay to do nothing also sometimes. But when I talk about the freedom, I talk about having a leverage of your time. So many of these wealthy people actually focus on the freedom, and that's why they were able to build businesses, or that's why they are able to quit job, or that's why they are able to take some bold and courageous decisions in their lives. So being wealthy is not about just money. It is in one of the factors, yes, it is definitely about the money, but that's not the whole point. Being wealthy, it's having too much leverage with you, whether you use money as a leverage now, whether you use time as a leverage, whether you combine both of them to create something else. But what I've realized is, my goal should not be quit the job. My goal should be to have a freedom. And for the freedom, I cannot have that kind of freedom or leverage via any job in the world. That's why business, that's why assets are necessary, and that's why entrepreneurship is necessary. So one more very good lesson from him. Lesson number 6, peace of mind versus peace from mind. So it's amazing thing. I can actually make a video on this one also. Many of the time in our lives, we say that, okay, we need a peace of mind. There is no peace of mind in my job. There is no peace of mind in my family. There is no peace of mind in my marriage and whatsoever. And I understand that we all face different kind of issues, and I don't want to deny those issues. Plus, bad things happen within marriage, from parents, in our job. I also faced it. But if you look at with whole clarity of life, clarity, then important thing to understand is when we say about peace of mind, is actually peace from mind, which means that during the shitty situations, during the bad situation, whether in the family, whether it's in marriage, whether it's in friendship, whether it's in job, on a business, it's our mind from which we want to escape, right? So it's not about peace of mind, but it's peace from mind. And you can relate it with more when you start doing meditations, when through the meditations you can still live in chaotic world, business, job, and you can understand the importance of peace from mind actually, because our mind constantly talks so many thoughts, past, future, so many things, right? So when you sit down alone or when you take a walk outside somewhere, and where you can really distance yourself from your mind, that's where you understand what exactly is peace of mind, and then you can relate the thought that peace of mind is actually peace from mind, and it's all about clarity. And I will post a different video in it, and I'll expand into that what I've understood it, and how I try to cross levels in terms of peace from mind. Okay. Next lesson. Read few books again and again. Now open YouTube right now, and you will see many videos wherein say how to do fast learning, how to read book fast, and how I read 100 books in 1 year, how I read 1500 books in 1 year. And interestingly, if you try to read so much books per month, per year, and if you focus on speed learning and speed reading, that's not our mind absorbs the information. It's not about IQ or being intelligent. Now, over here, Naval makes an interesting point, and if you watch his video carefully, he says that sometimes he reads specific few books again and again, and I can definitely relate with it. And what I understood is, for example, you take a book, right, specific book on a self help or a psychology or astronomy or anything you like, right? Sometimes that particular book has the ability to change your life. Okay, sometimes you read 100 books, but sometimes you pick one book, it can change your entire life. For example, his own book, Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which is not written by him but a guy called Eric. If you read that book, he has so many clear practical wisdom in this book that it can literally change your life. And it's so hard to put many of the lessons in implementations because it requires bold decisions, right? So see, we have a habit right now that, okay, if there is a book on focus, we will buy that book. If there is a book on habits, we will buy that book. If there is a book on money, we will buy that book. If there is a book on happiness, we can buy that book. Meditation, buy that book. Anxiety, buy that book. Procrastination, buy that book. But sometimes, if you read someone's book, right, that book has so much information, so much practical wisdom, that it takes time for our mind, our personality to implement that book in our life, right? And sometimes, even if you complete that 200-300 pages of book, your mind will take time to understand what is the meaning of that. So here is something. So for example, if I'm reading any book, sometime I have realized that, I understood 20% of that book. After 2 to 3 months, suddenly if I pick the same book, if I read the same paragraphs or if I read the same chapters or pages, now I have a very interesting thought process. So I was like, no, I read this book, I like this book, but I did not have this kind of thought process or this kind of new insight from the book when I read it 2 months ago. So some books are very interesting that each time you read it, you end up having new lessons or new insights, and then you understand, oh my god, now I understand this book perfectly, right? So what I learned from him is that it's not about speed reading, it's not about having a competition to how many books you are buying and reading. Sometimes one book can be a life changing, and sometimes reading that book again and again will give you new lessons, new insights that you never come across, and that's the beauty of it. So stick to a few books, read them again and again until you figure it out, and then you will have a greater impact in your life. Rather than focusing on 100 or 1500 books, or being in competition with someone else to look like, oh, okay, I read 1000 books. No, it should not be like that. Have a few books, read again and again, and I'm sure that your life, your business, your mind will improve much better. Let's go to the next lesson. 8th, earn with your mind, not with your time. Now, let me give you a very nice example from my life. When I was doing a job, for few years I did not realize what I was losing, right? Because that's how the lower middle class families teach you that job is very important for you. Nothing else is important in your life than working for someone else and getting a salary to pay the bills. It's not bad, but as you progress in your life, you have to change your thoughts, your principles, your understanding, and everything. So one time I realized that yes, I'm getting some kind of salary. My family did not have anything previously. I should be grateful that. But then I realized that each day I'm losing 9 hours. Sometimes I'm losing more than 9 hours. And no, it's not just about 9 hours. After those 9 and 10 hours, you are exhausted. You go back to your family, just have a dinner, and then just sleep another 7 hours, right? So ideally, they are not using your 9 hours, they are controlling your entire day, right? And I realized one of the very dangerous questions of my life was, am I getting paid of my time, or am I getting paid for my skill? So let's say if somebody is a software engineer or a programmer and he can write the codes, right? Now the question is, whatsoever the package is being offered by any company to him, is the package is related for his time or his skill? Understand that it's very controversial and dangerous question which many people do not like to answer, and there could be debates and argument. But understand that you are earning money, but what is an opportunity cost? You are losing so much time, and in that time you could have leveraged out so many things in your life. So once I had that realization, I understood that I have to use my mind to earn money and not my time. Now, does that make sense? Are you able to relate with me? So I had to understand that I cannot just keep on giving my time. I have to figure it out through my mind to earn money and not with my time, because my time is a very scared commodity, right? Time is even important than money. It's not about time is equal to money. No, time is much important than money, right? So this is one of the biggest realization I had in my life, that what I'm getting paid for and what other people. And when I had questions to my colleagues who are a programmer, who are a HR, when I told them that, okay, you are getting this package, but how about if I remove your skill? Then what is the use of you, right? So understand that there is an opportunity cost for every job, and there is an opportunity cost you are paying for every hour you are doing for someone else. Okay, let's move on to the lesson number 9. Desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Now, amazing. I did not see this kind of clarity from anyone in my life. So again, desire, right? Desire is a contract, Naval says, that you make with your life to be unhappy until you get what you want, right? So let me give you an example from my life so that you can better understand it. Sometime I have my own property right now. I paid my mortgage because of my business and everything. Without business, my mortgage could have been lasted 20-25 years, but I'm very thankful that I did business and I was able to pay within 2 years. Now I'm at a very different place right now. I changed my place of living. I'm in another place where there is more peace, nature, and everything. So I was looking to buy the property. So each time me and my wife will discuss, okay, we will do this once we have our new property. We will do this. We will do this. We will look like that. And one time I realized, and I had a discussion with my wife, that why we are not doing many things just because we do not have a second property, right? A second property and a beautiful place that we are settled right now. We are in a rental property right now. So every time we will have a nice library, we will have this, we will have this. So I said, why we wait for it? Why we wait for once we have. Why? Because this is some sort of desire, right? Okay, once we have this property, then we enjoy A, B, C, D, E, F, whatsoever the things, right? Or once we have this kind of money, then we will do this one. And I know for many of the things money is required, But then I had a realization that this whole addiction, that once I have, then I will do this. Once I have, then I will do this. Or once I have that car, once I have that property, then only I will be happy. Right? So then I realized that desire is very addictive, toxic addiction. Right? So I stopped doing once I have. I figured out whether I can do it right now or not, whether it's in small case, whether it's in alternative case or something else. Another example, we were living in a metro city. Metro city had lot of pollutions, too much traffic, all the health issues. So we migrated to a small place. We have lots of beaches over here, and then peaceful nature, everything, very diverse community. Pollution is amazingly low, better mental health, physical health, right? So we are in a rented property, and I see some people who are planning to migrate to this kind of place, who are thinking about, oh, we have our own property in metro cities, why should I again live in a rented place or something like that. But I did not wait for that. I say, doesn't matter, we have our own property in metro city. I don't want to wait another 5 years to buy another property and then only we settle at the nice place. No, if we can have a very simple normal property in terms of rent or leasing, but advantages is that I can have a better health, better mental health, amazing environment, nature, diverse community, focus on myself, yeah, then that rent is okay. I'm not craving to right away have my own property, right? So there you go, lesson number 9. Lesson number 10, our ability to fail in public under our own name actually help us gain more power. Now, I can again give you my own example. When I was doing a job, 1 or 2 times I quit job to pursue one business, and I got horribly failed in my business. I again had to get back to the job, right? So I meet one of my colleague, and he was taunting me. See, your business got failed. See, you had to come back to the job. And by that time I came to job, it was a gap of 1 year or something, and that my own colleague was promoted as a supervisor or something, and he was super proud. And I get that kind of criticism for 2 to 3 my colleagues, that you should have focus on progressing in the job rather than business is not everyone's cup of tea or something. So at that time I did not say anything, because yeah, I got failed and whatsoever. But after 1 more year I again tried, and I was successful in stock market, right? So I, rather than doing the technology business, I focus on stock market, and I was able to get out my from my job. Now fast forward 3-4 years in stock market, I was amazingly I was able to make money, pay off my family's debt, buy our own property without any mortgage or anything. So many nice things happen, right? So, and if now fast forward 3 years, if I look at their life, they are still supervisor, they are still manager. Whenever I meet them, they are so miserable, so frustrated. They are stuck in this certain kind of range. Now they are crossing 35. They are getting married. They have kids. They have more responsibility. Even if they are frustrated, they cannot quit the job. Even if they quit the job, what option they have is to pick another job. After 6 months, another same frustration, same life. Nothing changes. And I now have complete freedom of my morning, of my evening, whatsoever I can do. I can diversify into more businesses. I can meet nice entrepreneurs, business people. So yes, I failed 2 times. 2 times I quit the job. Many criticisms from my own family, from my own colleagues, from my own managers. But one question: if I did not have a courage to fail publicly, then I would not have made so far. And let me tell you, many people are amazingly talented, right? But what I've seen is they simply don't want to see them as a failure, because business can provide you instant feedback right away, right? I started a technological venture and it failed right away. So years of my dream right away failed. I thought I was a better person, but no, too much competition. I was not able to get right employees. Everything from start to end, everything did not work at all. I lose my money and I lose my time also. So I got heavy criticism from everyone. But then I learned so important lessons about what to do and what not to do, right? So it made me more courageous, more bold, more naked, that I don't care. And that allowed me to get out of my comfort zone, approach anyone. Now I have the ability, I can meet any business person. I can set up any appointment, any meeting. If I want to learn, I can approach the person that, can you spend 5-10 minutes? I want to learn something. Can I ask you this question? So many things I've learned which I could never ever learn from my job. So there you go, our ability to fail in public. Lesson number 11, smart people get out of the game, escape the competition. So again, same example. When I was doing a job, there were so many like promotions. Do you want to become a team leader? Do you want to become a supervisor? Do you want to become a manager? And many of my friends or colleagues were constantly having a toxic competition just because of some money, just because of some post. And at that time, I used to not to apply in many of the positions because I was interested in the business. So they were actually like criticizing me. They'll say, oh, you are leaving behind. You are now a senior employee. It looks like you are not accountable. You are not interested for more challenges and so many things. But there you go. I was more accountable than them, and I like more challenges, but I like in terms of on my business. So what I did is that when I got into business and I quit the job and I progressed, what I understood is my whole benchmark got changed. Now my own colleagues are not competitor. Now I don't have to fight for toxic promotion or toxic money. So I actually got out of the entire circle of the toxic competition and small goals and small achievement, that it doesn't matter to me. Do I have a competition right now? Yes, my business is a competition. But I got away from the competition which was very toxic, which was being played at the corporate level with small goals and small trophies and achievement, which actually did not make any great impact in anybody's lives, right? So because it's all about the titles and different titles and fancy trophies. So as I got out of that circle, I realized that I no longer have a burden to compete with those people who are competing for very small things, or the things which actually are not creating any positive impact in anyone's life. And if I'm in the stock market, I constantly try to make sure that I do not end up with those traders or those investors who are actually toxic, or those who are not taking those decisions or those moves which are not creating any meaningful impact in their lives. I stay away from that kind of crowd. I right away recognize those kind of people. I stay out of it. Okay, so that's number 11, that smart people always get out of the game. Lesson number 12, don't hang out with the people who are constantly engaged in conflict. One of the most important lesson. Again, I can relate in my marriage, I can relate in my friendship, I can relate in the corporate world. So, for example, many people suffer in their marriages, and sometimes that's what they just, okay, marriage is all about suffering, that's how the marriage it is. Or sometimes people say, okay, that's how the corporate jobs are, you suffer, but that's a life, or something like that. No. What I've realized in my life is that when you get married and when you have a life partner, you make sure just one thing, that when you date that person, when you are on a table, try to understand that which kind of person he or she is, and in terms of conflict, because many things we cannot judge about a person during the dating or during the relationships, right? But conflict means, is he or she a type of person who is more into letting go things, who do not like to have fights. For them, small things don't matter. They'll say, okay, let it go, doesn't matter. So for example, a very interesting example, that you are driving a car with your future life partner or something, and somebody hits you little bit or something, and if she or he makes a big deal out of it, and it comes ego and, no, how can you hit my car, and I want to fight with you, I want to sleep with you. Those are higher conflict people, right? For example, you are dating that person, you are in a relationship, and you want to make a decision about something, and that decision doesn't have a big impact in your life. It's something, okay. And if you see overall behavior, that they do not like to create fights, they do not like to disturb the peace of mind, they are more into letting go of things, then those lower conflict people are amazing in terms of life partner. Put away any beautiness, sexiness, or any other judgment away. Because when you are in a marriage for a long term, you need a person who can give you a peace of mind. You need a person who prefers peace of mind compared to big fights or arguments or debates, right? And that's an overall behavior that you cannot fake it. You cannot literally fake it. and I'm happy and I'm very lucky to end with such kind of woman or wife in my life. In terms of business also, you look for the business partners who can swallow their ego for small things, right? And for bigger things, they are open to discuss and debate with you. Not to argue with you, but have a healthy debate with you. So, in terms of your friends, in terms of your life partner, in terms of your business partner, always try to engage with the people who are into lower conflict, who don't like fights. It is very much possible to have a healthy disagreement, right? And it's very much possible to avoid fights or something which disturbs the peace of mind. So that's what I learned about it, that there are so many toxic people in the business, in jobs, in colleagues, in friends, and relatives. And I actually started avoiding those people the moment I see the behavior that they have a higher conflict ratios in their lives. Goodbye. Lesson number 13. Happiness is more about peace of mind. So I'm going to repeat few things. I'm sorry for it, but it's very interesting. We learn about happiness, right? His first lesson, that happiness is a state of mind where nothing is missing. Now let's expound one more lesson, that is happiness is more about peace of mind. Now again, we read so many books of happiness, and its happiness is so subjective. Somebody will say happiness is all about becoming a millionaire. Somebody say happiness is all about leaving your job. Somebody will say happiness is all about loving your job. Sometimes say having a nice family is happiness. So many definitions of happiness, right? But we try to overrate so much this happiness, and we give so much less important to peace of mind. And what I understood from this lesson from Naval is that if you try to have a peace of mind in your life, in your business, with your friends, or whatsoever you are doing, and if you are at peace of mind, then happiness is byproduct. You don't have to actually work for happiness. So imagine that. Rather than getting addicted to the subject, rather than fighting for its definition, or rather than trying to figure out that what exactly is happiness is and become miserable, the more you think about happiness, the more you run after it, more people become miserable out of it. But if you try to focus on peace of mind, I think peace of mind is very clear concept without any confusion. That you want a peace of mind, that means you want to work on the things which gives you peace of mind. You want to have a relationship where there is a lower conflict and more peace of mind. You want to have a business partner or friends with you who do not create frustrations with you, who do not engage into high conflict fights, which gives you peace of mind. So eventually you end up designing your life around peace of mind, right? And happiness is a byproduct of peace of mind. You don't have to work it. Now how amazing and how underrated this thing is. And I'm thinking that I'm going to put a whole new video on just this topic, happiness versus peace of mind. Lesson number 14. Many people lack the ability to start over. That is considered as a beginner mind. I actually read few things about it also apart from Naval. But Naval has the ability to come up with a very clear statement, which I don't think so anyone so far I have seen in my life. Maybe I'm biased for him, but it's a good thing. So what is the meaning of that? Let me give you an example. Sometimes you want to start a new skill. Sometimes people who are employed wants to start a business. But then you don't have a beginner's mindset. Then you are afraid of failures. Then you lack the mindset where you are ready to start from scratch. Now let me give you a very nice example. Few years ago, in one of the business channel, I was watching one program where they would approach a top ranking individuals from the business. Sometimes they say, oh, I am a chief financial officer, I am a chief marketing guy. And those who are having a very high package, they come from the top business schools and so on. Then they approach that person and ask them to just run a small grocery store, just run a small coffee cafe, just run a small juice center. So they bring this top guy who say that I'm a top management guy and I can resolve any business problem and I'm handling this kind of portfolio. But they assign them a very small thing, that okay, manage this grocery store for a few days, manage this juice center or manage this cafe. And all of them horribly failed. Why? Because they came from the top business school and they were right away assigned for a very good position. So what they were missing in their life is they were actually handling only the things which have been already be created from scratch. They are already on a very high level, and they are then assigned those companies or those project or those business model. So they never started anything from scratch. They never work anything which is small. And if things go wrong in their life, and if they've been kicked out or a worldwide recession comes up where there are actually not higher jobs available, they have a hard time to even start a small cafe or a small grocery store, because practically they never started anything in their life. Practically they never worked on any small challenges. They only dealt with big balance sheet, big problems, big challenges in their business goals, and right away after they're getting first or second jobs. So yes, they can say that, oh, I'm handling this kind of portfolio, oh, I'm consulting with these three companies or something. Yes, and they are earning really good, but they did not have any street smart exposures. And that I can relate with over here, that many people lack the ability to start over. So for example, I was working in few companies where I see there's amazing management and they are so proud and entitled. Sometimes horrible things happen to one of two people and they were not able to start in their life. They were so having a said. I remember a specific supervisor who enjoys so many years in their company, and suddenly there is a conflict with the CEO and he got fired. He was so in a setback that he never thought about plan B or anything at all or everything at all. Now he had so much challenges to adjust in a new company because he was enjoying so much leverage being a supervisor in this company for a very very long years. Now another company has a different environment, different culture, different people, different kind of politics was there. So he has a very hard time, and even though he had money, rather than starting any business, he again tried to adjust into another corporate world because he lacked the ability to start any business. So there you go, lesson number 14. Lesson number 15: if you can just sit for 30 minutes and be happy, then you are already successful. Now this may looks little bit unique or contradictory, or I don't know, but it takes time to even understand what he is trying to say over here. What Naval is trying to say is, I think again he is trying to focus on peace of mind. And if you look at Dalai Lama, he also said that many of the world's problems start because we are unable to sit down with ourselves and do nothing, because our mind is constantly occupied in spirals and circles about so many things in our life, past, future, present, so many things, right? So many distractions from social media or the people around us. So if you ask a person to sit down 30 minutes, do nothing, and if you are still happy, means if you have a really peace of mind, then you are already successful. But what will happen is, as we sit down alone for a longer period of time, our mind is trying to kill you. There will be regrets, there will be disappointed, so many things will come at our mind, and we will not be able to be comfortable with our own self. You understand what I'm going over here, right? So it's an amazing exercise, not for 30 minutes, but try to be alone just for 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. And let me tell you that 10 minutes will actually look like few hours. First time you will realize that 10 minutes is so big. Since we are distracted by so many things in the modern world, you will then understand that why 10 minutes is so horrible. Then you will understand what is the meaning of this statement or this lesson itself, that why many of the problems in the world actually start because we do not have an ability to sit down with ourselves for 30 minutes and do nothing. Okay, lesson number 16: there is something out there which will make you happy. Now this is I call about illusion, happiness illusion. When I was doing a job, I have this idea that once I have a business, I will be very happy. When I was not married, I have this idea, once I get married, I will be very happy. Oh, I did not have a girlfriend. Once I have a girlfriend, I will be very happy. Oh, I did not travel to 10 countries. Once I travel 10 countries, I will be very happy. Now I understand that we are all human and we will desire this kind of things, and it's reasonable. There is nothing wrong about it. We cannot become directly monk in one night. And I'm still a materialistic person. I have so many faults right now. I'm just sharing these lessons with you because I learned something in my life. That's why I started this channel. But what I understood is, that again the same thing, that I should not relate my peace of mind and happiness based on some outcome. That once I do this, once I have this, whether it is materialistic or not materialistic, okay, then I will be happy. So many people who are single, they assume that okay, marriage will make them happy, and then things go wrong. So only business can make them happy. Only changing job then can make. Only international traveling can make them happy. It may be possible. It may not be possible. But it's a great risk when we try to focus our happiness or peace of mind or based on some outcome. Because no matter how hard we try or how hard we are right or wrong, outcome may not or not be in our favor. So I stopped this addiction about there is something out there which will make you happy. I gradually started to work in other direction, that focus on the process, focus on the things I'm doing, and let's not focus that once I do this I will be happy, once I do this I will be like this. No. And it worked out really well in my life. Lesson number 17. Successful people often have a strong action bias. Now here is the difference. Many people are very intelligent but they are stuck in miserable jobs. Many people are very really good but they are stuck in miserable marriages. Why? Because when you want to leave your job, when you want to do something in your life, you right away do some actions. I'll give you one example. Few months ago, I got a call from one of my old colleague, right? And I quit the job. I started the business. One time I failed, another time I got successful, and blah blah blah, right? So he got in touch with me, and he says that he is now miserable. He has a nice position and everything, but he is miserable. So he wants to do a side hustle, start a business. Okay, good idea, nice. But then he says, I have this idea for this year and this amazing idea and blah blah blah. I'm planning to build my website and this. Okay, everything is good. But then when you are going to take action, because the moment you take action, you will right away get a feedback whether it's right, whether it's wrong, and what you were thinking since last 2 years, maybe you were wrong totally. So you have to start doing adjustment from day one. So why you are thinking that you will first start a business website, you will first launch an application, then will do this kind of arrangement with your supplier. These are all big things you are talking about. You do not have any real customer and you are building so many things. First start a small WhatsApp group or even a Facebook group. Start something. Start something. You will get a real customer and that's your business day one. And that first customer will not care whether you have a fancy website or fancy application. You first focus on a product and a customer and build everything else later. Maybe you will right away realize that this product is something which people don't want. So I told him that I understand and everything looks great. But when you are going to start it, and he did not even answer. He was like, okay, first I will do this, second I will do this, third I will do this, I'll prepare for this, I focus on so much quality and this is how it will be and this is okay. So since 2 years, he's going through this idea like a drug addiction, that this is the best idea he has. And I told him that, you know what, every third employee in the world has a unique idea and they think that their idea is best. The moment you try idea, large part of it that you will get a failure right away. That's how the business works, and there is nothing wrong about it. You think something for 2 years, and the moment you start on day one, you will keep adjusting so many things. So that's what I realized, that many successful people are very quick to try things, no matter how perfect or imperfect things are, and then they build the business model around it based on their experiments. They are actually the scientists who are keep on doing experiments, right? Lesson number 18. We feel guilt when we no longer want to associate with the old friends, colleagues who haven't changed the price and the marker of growth. Amazing, amazing. The best lesson. So, as I quit job, as I came into the business world, immediately in next 6 months or 1 year, I started losing connections with old colleagues. And it made me feel guilty, that why I'm not meeting them or something like that. But their whole was very different. Then after 2 to 3 years, I almost had any single contact with them. And many a times I feel guilt that, oh, why am I a bad person that I'm not meeting them, or they are hesitant to meet me or something like that. But then I realized that whenever I meet them, 2 to 3 people, they will always talk about their boss, frustration of the job, how miserable they are, and they were still doubting me. that sooner or later you will fail, you will again come to the job. So I realized two things, that as you progress into the business, or as you progress into the life, many of your old connections will break and you will feel guilt out of it, but that's how it should be. You will drop many of the toxic colleagues, many of the fake people who are just your pizza and party friends. And I tried to meet them sometimes, and all they did not have any other clarity in the life apart from their job, because they were not meeting smarter people than them. They were not meeting the people who are experimenting than them. They are just within that comfort job, within that corporate sector, the same friends, same colleagues, keeping them in comfort level. So, and then they were too much critical that no, even after 2 years, your business will fail and you will come for the job. So understand that how toxic that thought process, that just because they were not able to quit the job, they will envy those people who are able to transition from the job to business industry, right? So then I understand that it's actually the marker of the progress or a growth, that as you become an evolved person, you will keep on dropping friends, colleagues, old or new business connections. So there is nothing you should be guilty about it, but it's actually the marker of growth. So amazing things I have learned from this lesson. Lesson number 19, you are never going to get rich by renting out of your time. I think we already discussed previously, but I'm just going to expand a little bit, that again, if you are doing a job or something, if you are basically renting out of your time, then how you can use your leverage, because time is something that we have a scared commodity, right? So if I spend my more time and if I get a limited money, how in the world I will have my more resources? How in the world I will be able to have assets? How in the world I will be having a wealth, and how in the world I will have more freedom? Or I may focus on my life, I can focus on my family, I can focus on my health, I can pursue my hobbies, craziness, anything at all. So we already discussed this, but amazing. We always have to question how much time we are renting out versus what we are getting out of it, right? Lesson number 20. All greatness comes from suffering. Now, if you focus on the monk philosophy and anything at all, then we understand that Buddha, that all the desires are suffering, root cause of suffering and everything. Yes. But in modern life, as far as you have family, then you can not get out of this suffering, right? And let me tell you that suffering will be there in our life. So what I realize is that rather than getting rid of suffering, reading those kind of books or pursuing that kind of philosophy, I should actually focus on which kind of suffering is worth for. For example, I married to this amazing, beautiful woman, right? And I told you that she is a very lower conflict woman. Gives me peace of mind, amazing person. So you have to understand that marriage will also bring suffering in one way or another. But if you are marrying this kind of person, then whatsoever the byproduct of that marriage, okay, I'm ready to tolerate some sort of suffering in this marriage. What is the suffering? Okay, you are married now, you have more accountability now. Okay, you may have less privacy now, but then the person is amazing. So whatsoever those kind of byproduct of small suffering, which is considered a cost of marriage versus cost of being single, okay, I'm ready to accept it. I'll enjoy that suffering because I have a nice person. So in terms of business also, if I have a very nice partner, but every now and then I have to endure some suffering, but that suffering is okay because overall the partner is amazing, business partner. So that's okay. So in life also, for example, if I want to maintain my health, but then I have to go to gym, then I have to do the weight training. So I'm suffering my body, right? By going into gym, sweating, doing some yoga, doing weight training. So that is, I'm costing something to my body, but that suffering is worth it. If I sit down and not let my body suffer, then what, right? So if you can relate with this gym and exercise, that we are actually suffering our body, and that's how our body becomes strong, then you can understand that there are so many sufferings in life. We have to choose that if I'm going to pursue this business and I'm going to do entrepreneurship, yes, there are advantages, but there will be suffering also. But if I want to really do this, and if doing that business or entrepreneurship if there is a cost of some suffering, that is okay. So all I learn from is that during marriage, during when you have a business, when you go to gym or do anything in your life, there will be some sort of suffering. You can never say that I want a nice body, nice health, but I don't want to suffer in a gym or I don't want to do any exercise. No. You say I want a best marriage, but I don't want to suffer. No. But that doesn't mean that okay, you should be miserable in the marriage. No. Because you are with someone, every now and then you will suffer. For example, if I am single, I know I will have more freedom. I know I will save more. But since I am with amazing person, I know that now we will invade each other's privacy anywhere, right? So it's okay. Sometimes we will have healthy disagreements. It's okay. So that's the kind of suffering. Am I willing to go? Yeah. Why not? Because I will have someone to count on my entire life, right? So that's what I learned from this lesson. A bonus and final lesson: following your genuine intellectual curiosity is a better foundation for a career than following whatever is making money right now. So there are hot trends, right? That oh, this is a hot trend and this is a current trend or something, and it's easy to get lost in those kind of trend. But here is something very important. If you have a genuine intellectual curiosity about your own field, for example, for me, trading and investment in stock market, then I never get bored. I never get bored studying stocks, studying chart, their pattern, taking financial decisions. I never get bored. Okay. So whenever I have intellectual curiosity in any given field, I can work more than someone else. I can put more efforts. I can willing to devote more time, more resources, right? So intellectual curiosity is much important rather than a typical traditional advice that follow your passion, right? So intellectual curiosity is the number one factor when it comes to becoming successful or pursuing some kind of business. For example, someone is really curious about some kind of sport or some kind of any field or something, or any particular topic. Let's say you are extremely curious about space science or astrophysics. Then I have seen certain kind of YouTube channels where the person is not a typical scientist, but he or she is just interested in astrophysics. So their YouTube channel is growing and they are making more money than even a scientist, right? So there I am ending this video with 20 amazing lessons from Naval Ravikant, and I really hope that sometime in future I will meet him. And if I have a friend or a mentor like me around me, I know my life will be 100 times better. And I now understand why people say that you are a product of the 5 people who are spending time along with you. And if I can learn from Naval by sitting in a different country just via his tweet or his book or podcast, imagine how much could I improve my life just being with him as a friend or a business partner or a colleague or someone who is just near to him. So a huge thanks to Naval, and huge thanks to you also to, if you guys are watching this video and spending time to understand all the life lessons I'm learning from different people and life situations. So please subscribe to this channel and provide me the feedbacks and in your comments. See you soon in another videos very soon.